There are only a few days left to tinker with your 2016 Fantasy League presidential lineup and baseball lineup and all your Fantasy League lineups. And this is the final stretch of the Veepstakes season. So we're seeing some action from potential running mates. Let's start with the Democrats. A handful of Hillary Clinton's possible number twos were on the Sunday news shows this week, including Senators Sherrod Brown of Ohio and Cory Booker of New Jersey, and Labor Secretary Tom Perez. They were all dishing out Clinton talking points while dodging questions about whether they would join the ticket with Hillary Clinton. Mark, where do things stand at this moment with Hillary Clinton's running mate decision?
Well, I don't know who she's actually planning to pick, but I will say that I'm talking to Clinton people. About half the people I'm talking to are in touch with her about this, about half aren't. They're very happy with the choices. No one is going to make the case that her choices are going to revolutionize the race. The two names I hear the most from Clinton people who they're very happy with are Tom Perez, the Labor Secretary, and Tim Kaine, the senator from Virginia. People seem genuinely happy with those. They'd be perfectly satisfied. And my sense is that they don't think she's headed towards a surprise pick, but the person she thinks is the best. And I still think she won't pick until Trump does, and that means maybe not until after his convention, since he may well pick on the eve of his convention.
Right. I think that's one of the key elements here is the question of timing. When does Trump pick? If it's true that Trump picks next week, as is being suggested, that'll give Clinton some time through the Republican convention and into the time frame when she'd announce, which would likely be on the Friday or Saturday after the Republican convention, to try to step on his headlines. You know, I hear those names too. Certainly I hear Tim Kaine a lot more than Tom Perez. Tom Perez, someone who seems to be maybe someone who they want to seem is in consideration rather than someone who's actually in consideration. I still think Tim Kaine is the front runner, and I still think Elizabeth Warren might be the best choice.
The other thing, Chuck Todd raised the name over the weekend, Tom Vilsack, Agriculture Secretary, former governor of Iowa. I thought early on that that's who she was going to pick. He fits, you know, I would say he's as exciting as Tim Kaine. He fits what she wants, I think, a governing partner, someone who people would say is qualified, someone she'd like to work with, someone who will be loyal to her. But I'm not hearing that necessarily as rising with a bullet.
Yeah, same here, and I think, you know, the main case for Tom Vilsack is that she really likes him a lot, and you can't discount how important that is, but it seems hard for me to believe that Vilsack will end up on the ticket, but maybe we'll be surprised by that. All right, turning now to the question of Donald J. Trump, billionaire and presumptive Republican nominee, at his New Jersey golf club this holiday weekend. Trump met with two possible running mates who until recently have not been widely speculated about. That would be Indiana Governor Mike Pence, who huddled with Trump on Saturday, and Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, who had her face-to-face meeting with Trump on Monday. Tomorrow, we have Newt Gingrich reportedly campaigning with the Donald in Cincinnati. And of course, tonight, where you are, Mark, you've got Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee. So the same question I asked you before applies now on the Republican side. Where does Trump's running mate decision stand in your mind?
Well, look, one of the funniest things I've ever heard someone from a campaign say about Veepstakes was Kellyanne Conway, who just said in the last segment, the short list is getting longer, and acted as if that's a good thing. It's very similar, I think, to what happened with John McCain. Down to a handful of choices, and then saying, you know what? These choices may not be good enough. Expanding to Pence, expanding to Joni Ernst, and I believe a number of aides, the new aides who've come in the last few weeks since Corey Lewandowski left and around that time, looked at the list that Trump was honing in on and said, no one on that list is actually right. You need to think anew and think more broadly. And I think, although I doubted he and Pence would hit it off, it sounds from their accounts of the meeting that maybe they did. And I think Pence makes a lot of sense considering the other alternatives.
Well, he's got to solve the problem that he has right now, the big problem he has, which is getting the Republican base, Republicans to come home. And Pence might be as good a solution on that front as any solution. I think that's the best argument now against putting Chris Christie on the ticket, someone who I think temperamentally Trump is really attracted to. But Christie doesn't solve the problem of getting Republicans to come home to Donald Trump. So maybe Christie's starting to fade from view. I know the Clinton people, some of whom I talked to just today here in Charlotte, they still think Trump will go with his gut in the end. Now, they don't know anything about what's going on internally, but they all suspect in the end that it'll be Christie or Gingrich. But they obviously could be wrong. Democrats don't know very much about Republicans in general and about Trump in particular.
Yeah, I don't know this for a fact, but I have one source suggesting to me that he's been talked out of Gingrich, that they'll find another role for Gingrich in the administration, and that may well be a dead letter. But Everybody says, in the end, this is Trump's decision. Trump may just go with this gut, and that could mean anybody. And I don't envy A.B. Colbahouse, the vetting lawyer, and the young lawyers and older lawyers working with him, because they are under pressure now, just like with Palin, to vet somebody in a big hurry under time pressure.
Let's remember, that's exactly what happened to Colbahouse 8 years ago, and he might have to go through it all over again.